Hi, welcome back to my channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Katharine, and in today's video, I'll be sharing with you my January update of my reading journal. I can't believe it's February already and that we fully got through January of 2025. It just went by so fast to me. I know everyone says that January went by really slow for them, but for some reason it went by really fast for me. And I just can't believe that I have officially completed one full month in my reading journal. Granted, I did not keep up with it as much as I wanted to. So there's this one section in particular in my reading journal where I basically track how many pages I read per day, and that requires me to literally every single day notate on this graph how many pages I read during that day. Otherwise, if I don't do it that day, I'm going to forget. Okay, I have ADD. I literally just in one ear out the other. If I don't do it that exact day, I'm gonna forget about it. I'm gonna forget how many pages I read. I'm gonna forget to do it. Do you know what I mean? And then one day went by after the other, and I missed out on a lot of weeks actually of me not tracking how many pages I was reading each day. So there's gonna be some missing parts to that graph in particular, but pretty much everything else is filled out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip this camera around. That way you can actually see me flip through my journal. And again, it's just gonna be for the month of January. I started my reading journal actually this year. I had never done a reading journal in the past before, but I thought because of accountability reasons, and now that I'm reading a lot more books, I thought this was a great idea to kind of help me track my progress of how much I'm reading, what I'm reading, and also just to gather all of my thoughts and statistics of everything that has to do with my books and reading. And I thought it would just be really conducive to have everything in one place. I always thought reading journals were super silly when I first noticed or realized that people actually did reading journals, because I thought people were just doing it for aesthetics. And although you can make reading journals really pretty, and I think I've done a pretty good job of making my reading journal pretty aesthetic. I've seen people do their reading journals a lot more aesthetically pleasing than I have, but I like how mine has turned out. And although I do like the pretty aspect of reading journals, for me, I'm doing it more for aesthetics. So, no, not aesthetics. I'm doing it more for statistics. That's what I'm trying to say, and for accountability. So let's flip this camera around, and I'm going to just show you what I have so far for the month of January in 2025 in my reading journal. Let's do this. Now that I have you flipped over and you are now seeing my reading journal, I'm going to open it up. On the first page here, you can see that I do have a rating system, and I basically have it by 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star, and 6 star. I do mostly rate on a 5-star rating scale, but a 6 star is basically just something that is off the walls amazing. And then on the next page, I have a book bingo page, and as you can see, just from the month of January, I have filled up a few of those little bingo cards, one of them being finishing my monthly TBR or to be read list, which I did. I also read a thrifted book and discovered a new author, among some other things on this bingo sheet. And then this next 2 sets of pages I have here is one of my challenges that I want to do for myself. And this could span over the months or years that I have this journal. This is my 100 book challenge. And as you can see, I already have 7 books filled out on this challenge page. I know that I read about 50 to 60 books per year, so I could possibly have this filled up in about a 1.5 years or 2 years. And then the next 2 pages I have here is my rereads tracker, and my series tracker, I just noticed that I spelt rereads wrong. It says rereads, but whatever, we're just going to go along with this. I did check off one of my series tracker books, which is the first book in the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. And then I also checked off on this next series tracker page on the Middle-earth list by J.R.R. Tolkien, The Hobbit. And then I have my ultimate TBR list. So this is all of the books that I would have on my physical and also just non-physical TBR. I like to track my TBR on Goodreads. I just haven't had the time to fill this out yet because there are a lot of books. The last time I checked, I have like over 500 books that I have on my want to read list on Goodreads. Now we get on to the classic book tracker page. I did not check off any of these this past month in January because of the fact that the quote-unquote classic that I read in January was The Hobbit, and I have that under my series tracker page. Even though it is considered a classic, I put it under the series page because it's a part of a series, so that kind of trumped it being here in the classic book tracker section. Next, I have my nonfiction tracker page. I also checked off here More Than a Carpenter because in the month of January, I made sure that I read one nonfiction, and that's the nonfiction that I read. And then this is my reading log, so I'm putting here like all of the books that I'm reading and when I finish them, who the author is, what the title is, the start and end date, the page count, the genre, and also the star rating. I made sure to have plenty of extra pages for this because I didn't know how long I was going to have this reading journal for. And then I have like my 6-star reads page. I don't have any 6 stars yet for the year 2025, but let's just get on to the next page. This would be like my quotes section. I don't have any standout quotes from the past month that I've been reading, but I hope to fill up these 2 pages. And then we get into my 2025 section. So I am going to be using this journal for multiple years. So that's why I have a 2025 header. And then I also have monthly headers. So this is my January header. I love my little snowman. It's frosty. And then we get on to like my reading goals. This is the graph that I was talking about where like I have all of this blank section because I had forgotten to track how many pages I was reading each day. So this is a thing that I would have to go in daily to update. Otherwise, my ADD doesn't let me remember any of the pages that I read for each day. I would have to do it every day in case I would forget, the next day. But I'm going to try to be better about doing this daily next month in February. Well, I guess this month because it's February already. But I'm going to try to be better about writing down how much I'm reading each month or each day. I mean, not each month. Well, it would be for each month, but you know what I mean, like what I'm reading each day, like how many pages. And then I have like my TBR for January. I have More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell, A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris, and The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And then on this page, I have my progress calendar. So it just basically shows like when I was reading the books during the month. I just like the visual of this. It kind of gives me a representation of like how long it took me to read certain books. But yeah, I'm just a very visual learner, so this progress page definitely gave me insight as to like how much I'm reading and what books I'm reading. And then here is like my end of the month wrap up, like statistics. So I read in total of 7 books this year. Not this year. I read what am I trying to say? I read a total of 7 books this month, and my average rating was 4.25. My average reading time, so I didn't really like track how many pages I was reading each day. Otherwise, I would have like put down there like how many pages I was reading each day. I did read 1 classic and I did read 1 nonfiction, And my favorite book of the month was The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. The reason why I really liked it is, first of all, it's historical fiction, and second of all, it's just like a beautiful story of hope, redemption, love, strength, and perseverance. I gave it 5 stars. And these are the other books I completed. So I completed The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell, A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, The Fortunate Ones by Katharine Hogan, and the 5th volume in the Remarried Empress series. And that's a manga series. And then, did I read every day? No, I actually remember not reading one day. I have read for the majority of the month, but there was like one day where I didn't read. And then average pages per day, I didn't know that. And then overall pages read, I calculated it, I added everything up, and it came to a total of 2,860 pages. And then total days read, 30 out of 31. And then the format of the books, I did these pie charts. I did 100% physical books, and then for genres, I read 38% historical fiction, 13% nonfiction, 13% fantasy, 13% manga, 13% biblical fiction, and 13% thriller. And then I read a total of 8 off of my physical TBR. And then just some YouTube updates. Did I do a monthly TBR? Yes. Did I do a monthly wrap-up? Yes. Did I do a book recommendation video? I did some book tag videos where I did recommend some books, so I counted that as yes. And then book writing progress. I didn't have any progress this month. I didn't work on anything, but I hope to in the month of February. And then just going on to my reviews. I'm not going to go too much into these reviews. You could probably just pause and read it if you want. But I also have a lot of my ratings on Goodreads if you want to follow or friend me there. But I basically have these in order in which I read them. So I have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. That was 4 out of 5 stars. I also read More Than a Carpenter, and that was 3 out of 5 stars. I also read Francine Rivers, The Voice in the Wind. It was 5 out of 5 stars. I read Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. It's 4 out of 5 stars. I also read The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. That was actually not rated because I didn't feel right rating that book because it is based on a true story of someone who was in Auschwitz. And then I also read The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. That was 4 out of 5 stars. Actually, you know what? I did rate this 5 stars because I did actually love it. I totally forgot that I told you guys earlier that this was my favorite book of the month, and I did give it 5 stars. Initially, I wasn't going to rate it because I didn't feel right rating a book that was based on someone's true story. But after watching the TV series on Peacock that's based on this book and off of Lolly's experience, I gave it 5 stars because it was just very moving. So I'm going to put 5 stars right here later. And then I read The Fortunate Ones by Katharine Hogan. I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. And then lastly, I read The Remarried Empress. I gave that 4 out of 5 stars. And then I just started preparing for February. So as of right now, I just have my February header. And then I have my progress calendar of like how long it takes me to read books. And then I have my reading goals chart right here of how many pages I read per day. And then I also have my TBR that I still need to fill out. And then I'm going to do my review section here. But yeah, this is basically my reading journal and my update for January. Thank you so much for following along today's video. I know it wasn't like the most fun video to watch, but I hope it was interesting and it gave you some information or inspiration, I should say, as to how to make your own reading journal. Maybe you can steal some ideas from what I've done. But yeah, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in my next one. Make sure to do all of the YouTube things that you know how to do, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!